Hello, weirdlings, patrons, and casual observers. Today is the summer solstice, or Sol Huel, and I would like to chat about the two most important solar tides, the summer and winter solstices. Rather than accepting this as is, I would like to look at why those are so important. The best place to begin here is with the word sun and suna. Solar deities and sun worship are found literally the world over, but the language and therefore depiction of these deities hinges on location. For example, the sun in Greek, Roman, and Latin, or most Romance languages, is masculine, whereas among the Germanic tribes and languages, the sun is feminine. Reaching further back into the Proto-Indo-European, we find a gender-neutral designation. The ancient Egyptians demarcated between rising sun and setting sun. Mostly, the sun at dawn was male, and the sun at twilight was female. Among the Mesopotamians, the sun was male and the moon was female. Among the ancient Indians of the subcontinent, the dawn sun is female and the noon sun is male. Today, our society views the sun as male and the moon as female. Yet, considering the historic record of sun worship and sun deities, the opposite is actually true. Among the old and current European cultures, the sun goddess is predominant. From Lithuania and Latvia, we have Saula. From Finland and Hungary, we have Pavatar and Bewe. And of course, we have the Germanic Suna. Relatedly, other female sun goddesses include the Aboriginal Australians Bila and Wala, the several Indian and Sri Lankan tribal mothers Bisel Mariamma and Patini, and the Amaterasu among the Japanese. Then among the Native Americans, there is Unalanuhi of the Cherokee and Oachil of the Netcha. Now, from Germanic lore, Sol, or Suna, is female. Notably, sun, sol, Suna in the Germanic language is a proper noun, meaning a name, so is always capitalized. The idea of Suna, to use her traditional name, is thought to have risen during the Nordic Bronze Age and have a Proto-Indo-European origin. For hundreds of years, scholars have researched and debated solar mythology, comparing etymological relationships, tracing origin stories, comparing shared symbolism, and the like. Now, for this latter, the symbolism, there are solar barges, solar ships, sun chariots, sun wheels, and the like, ranging across centuries and cultures from Neolithic petroglyphs to Egyptian afterlife stories to the Nebra sky disk and more, most of which relate back again to the Proto-Indo-European and Indo-European language roots. Now, at this juncture, I would like to chat about the Christian interpretation of Jesus as the Son of Righteousness and the Christ, meaning both anointed and synonymous with rising sun. And finally, as Sol Invictus, which culminated in an alleged birthday for Jesus on the 25th of December, or the winter solstice. Now, this is where research results in enlightenment, pun intended. First, to be clear, what follows is a difference between a pagan worldview and the current Christian-inspired perspective. Next, this segment segues into my recent Patreon exclusive essays on the soul's voice. So to begin, our understanding of the soul is muddled due to the reigning perspective of the day, namely the Christian perspective. But more than a consideration of the soul, we must factor in time. Now, as I detail in my first book, Volaspa, say there is weird consciousness, time, as our deep ancestors understood it, was cyclical, not linear. Case in point, the ancient Egyptians and ancient Indians prayed based on the location of the sun in the sky. Modern Indians today, when doing Surya Namaskara, or the sun salutation, do the same. So let's take a deep dive into the ancient Egyptian perspective, because that perspective still impacts us even today. First, the sky is the goddess Nut, whose body stretches across the heavens. Her legs are in the east, her head and arms in the west. Dawn, the morning, corresponds to the first stage of life. Nut gives birth to the sun in the east, and this symbolizes the incarnation of the soul, meaning the sun was seen as the visible soul. The second stage is the sun or soul's position midway, or at Nut's belly. This can be viewed as childhood, a time of joy and happiness. The third stage, marked at the navel, or high noon, is midlife, which is a time of growth towards wisdom. The fourth stage is a time of greater wisdom in life, represented by Nut's head. And it is this stage that the word Lord, or Adon, or Adonai, is found. Now, let's revisit the biblical Exodus. Inside the Ramesseum, or the temple of Pharaoh Ramesses II, is a book written on the walls called the Tome of Time and Timelessness. It gives a very different story regarding the Jewish mass departure from Egypt. Per the Egyptians, the Jews were not slaves in Egypt, but followers of Atan, or the fourth stage of wisdom outlined above. As such, they refuse to acknowledge the soul's death in the setting sun of the west. This westerly location for the ancient Egyptians was the fifth stage of Amun, or Amun-Ra, or as said today, Amen. So Atan, where the Jews drew the line, according to the ancient Egyptian text, is the highest stage of intellect. Now, today we see Jews place great value on learning and study. In fact, their dedication to the tradition of their sacred texts, to the Torah, to the study of the Torah, to the questioning and clarifying, is most remarkable and praiseworthy. As such, if this account is correct, then they view the highest attainment as Atan, whereas the ancient Egyptians progressed onto Amun, the ultimate and most supreme, the great one who they viewed as, quote, the sum of all being, both actual and potential. Now, according to academics, Amun is equivalent to Zeus in Greece, to Perun among the Slavs and Balts, to Indra among Indians, to the Proto-Indo-European Dies Vater, the Sky Father, and among the Germanic tribes as Tyr, the Sky Father and Pole Star. Perhaps even being mentioned as Heaven's Candle in Beowulf. In any event, the Jews, again, per the ancient Egyptian text, chose not to enter the netherworld of the West, the realm of Amun. Seemingly, this choice is based on their perception of the West being the end of life in the world. You see, there exists a paucity of references to the afterlife in Tanakh, and the Torah promises reward and or punishment in this world. Here is then the possible divide between pagan thought and Western Judeo-Christian culture, which we are living in. Jews and Christians place great value on worldly life, more so than the afterlife. Certainly, Christians today talk about the afterlife, but modern Judaism has no such answer to that mystery. Pagan thinkers did not see the setting sun as a final death, as the end of existence, but they saw it as 5 of the 10 stages of life. The other 5 stages outline the soul's continued existence in the other world. They viewed their life, their soul's journey, as being cyclical, not linear. As to the soul's journey through the afterlife, that will be continued in my Patreon exclusive post titled Soul's Voice. In all, the journey of the sun at the solstices represents a great mystery. The summer solstice and winter solstice relate the great mystery of life and death, of obvious and occult, of rising sun and setting sun, and the divine undulations, the sacred currents that produce repetitious and harmonious patterns seen as runes and heard as galdras. To begin an exploration of the summer solstice, where we are now, is to know that this is not a singular day, but the first day of a season. In fact, Germanic summer in Iceland and Norway was a 6-month period. From Old English and medieval lore, we know the ancients viewed summer as a time for pursuing outdoor activities. In kind, a great deal of dream vision or mystic poetry was written about in summer and about summer. The Piers Plowman, for example, being a wonderful and notable place to begin. So let me read you an excerpt from the Piers Plowman. In a summer season, when the sun was soft, I clothed myself in an outfit as though I were a shepherd, or in a habit like a hermit of unholy works. I traveled widely in this world to hear marvels, to meet men and witness wondrous things. One morning, worn from walking, a magical thing happened to me. As I rest myself along a slope by a stream, as I lay reclined and looked upon the water, I dozed into a slumber so pleasant did it sound that a wondrous dream came to me. The Piers Plowman goes on to relate that the wondrous and magical thing was an encounter with fae folk or fairies. Now, to me, as a saved woman, this reads as an account of sitting out or utaseti. Similar accounts to this are found in The Cuckoo and the Nightingale, in Dream and Life, and in Winere and Wastore, to name but a few. In fact, every historical account I've read that depicts the summer solstice and summer events all relate locus amonis, or a pleasant otherworldly place. It is a place filled with bird song and falling water, with gentle breezes and fragrant flowers, and with otherworld beings and otherworld locations. So from lore, we know that our old ancestors viewed the summer solstice as a time of wandering in the forest and encountering otherworld beings. And for those seeking Old Norse references, in these cases, the narrative has an individual or group off on a summer adventure, referred to as Austerveger, the Eastern Way. Further, Nordic lore references that include locations such as when they say north or northeasterly, these refer to supernatural journeys. Some examples of this include Eric Bloodaxe's encounter with Gunhildr in Finnmark, where she explains she is there to learn Seder from two Sami women. And in Bosa Saga, which I highlighted extensively in my book Forntreifa, Ancient Healing Touch, our hero is sent to Bjarmar land to obtain a vulture egg near the river Dvina. The Scythe woman who guards this egg is identified as working trolldom. Finally, in Grimm's saga Lodenkinna, Grimm encounters both Gigjar and troll women while in a dream state. Again, all events taking place during the summer solstice months. So if the 10 stages of Egyptian life and afterlife have any merit as pagan philosophical and religious thought, then these 5 stages of life and 5 stages of afterlife can easily be mirrored in our summer and winter solstice, or upon our great wheel of the year. For just as women sit and weave upon a wheel, so too the Norns craft threads of all our lives. Until next time, may your summer solstice be filled with bright promise and otherworldly dreams. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and be whole.